Hi, I'm Lt Col Brenda Reed, and I am the Dean for Online Learning Programs with Volunteer University. Today, I want to talk to Volunteer University online students about making the most of your online studies. A little bit about me real quick. I'm not only the Dean for Online Learning Programs, but I'm also a commander of a cadet squadron. And I've done quite a bit in Civil Air Patrol, but nothing has been more rewarding than working in distance education. It's something that I do professionally. And I've also been an online student for a good bit of the last, 15 years of my life. So not only did I finish up my bachelor's online, I got my master's completely online. My level 5 I did through Air Command and Staff College, which was online. And I've been professionally and through CAP, I've designed, facilitated, taught, and taken online classes for many, many years. So I bring that experience to the job and to my talk with you today. So we have 3 objectives for our session today. So I want attendees to understand the common problems with online learning. I want to identify ways to overcome common problems with online learning. And I want you to apply best practices to your personal online learning program. Online learning is not always easy, but hopefully we will meet these objectives today and you will be better off and more in a position to excel with your online modules. Think about the online modules as asynchronous, okay? So going back a step, synchronous is where everything happens in the same time and typically the same space. Okay, that could be your on-site class. You're all meeting at the same time and in the same space of a classroom. Virtual in residence is also synchronous. You're meeting through technology together at the same time. So those are synchronous. The online modules are presented in an asynchronous learning environment. And asynchronous means that it's student-centered learning. The teaching method, students teach themselves. Okay, student learning occurs at different times and in different spaces that is particular to each learner. In an asynchronous learning environment, instructors will set up the path and then students engage at their own pace. So a typical cohort, you're going to have 24 students from all around the nation. Some may be overseas. So you're all in different spaces. You're in different places. And you're coming together through Access, through our learning management system. But you're coming in at different times. And you say, well, how can we have a discussion that way? Well, student A is going to post their response to the scenario given. And they post it in their time and at their pace. And then maybe a couple hours down the road, somebody checks in, student B from Germany, and they go, oh, and they read that person's post, and they go, well, let me respond to that. Okay, and then student A, maybe in another day or so, comes and looks back again and goes, oh, student B answered my post. And so you have a conversation, and instead of a 10-minute conversation in a classroom, it goes on for a period of about a week, with each person checking in as they want. So we are dealing in an asynchronous learning environment. Everybody checks in at their own pace, at their own space, and at their own time. And as you can see from this map of the world, those stars represent where we have squadrons. Now, obviously, the United States, there's a lot more squadrons than stars, but you get the picture. But we also, thinking time, meeting geographical challenges, we have Alaska, Hawaii, England, Belgium, Germany, we have Korea, Okinawa, Japan, and everybody can participate in the same classes through online learning, no matter where they are in the world. Becoming an online volunteer student, you're going to sign up through eServices. So you're going to go to professional development and then scroll down to professional levels. And then when you click on that, you'll see a cohort request. And from there, you'll pick the level that you want the cohort. That's all you do. Now, for a while, it will show pending. When the pending disappears, you have been assigned to a cohort. Don't worry, don't try and sign up again. If the pending has disappeared, you have been assigned to a cohort. You will find out about that cohort closer to the beginning of the month. Cohorts begin on the first Tuesday of each month. Sometimes that first Tuesday is the first of the month. Sometimes that first Tuesday is the 6th of the month. So it really just depends on where that first Tuesday falls. So be patient. If the pending disappears, you're in. Some common problems that all online students face is, number one, digital literacy. We all have varying levels of what we can and cannot do digitally. There's been talk about the digital natives, who are the younger generation, and then us, digital immigrants who didn't have it growing up, but we now have to learn. And I can tell you that our online students, and I have seen a number of them in my role, we have 21-year-olds, brand new senior members, and I have a number of 85-year-olds that are working through their modules. And it's really refreshing, and they're always fun to talk to, and they're very willing to say how old they are. And some of them will say, you know what, this is a challenge. Using some of this software, I've never done this, so I have to learn how to use PowerPoint in order for me to do my homework. There is a digital literacy issue. Technical skills, we have different technical skills as well. There's just other technical issues dealing with maybe e-services, dealing with access, navigating access, and just whatever it is, students that's a common issue. Time management is another common problem. It's easy to put it off. Oh, you know what? I'm enjoying this book right here, so I'll get to those modules tomorrow. And you need to set aside a time, each week that you are going to block everything else out and work on your modules. It's a common problem, and you need to find a way to overcome it. Motivation. Sometimes, it's kind of hard to get motivated. It's a beautiful day. This is when you set aside that time. It's not so hard when it's raining and you can't go outside, but it's a beautiful day. I want to go outside. That's where my motivation is. I don't want to sit here and do this stuff. Okay, motivation. It's a common problem. You're not alone. And another common problem is the lack of interaction in online. Depending on your cohort, you may feel at times isolated. You're working on this by yourself, but that is asynchronous learning. You're self-paced. You're working on your own. So you may feel that lack of interaction is a problem. And so you're not alone again. That is a common problem of all online students. Common online student problems for our volunteer university is more not only problems for online students, but also because we're all volunteers. There's a lack of time. Most of us are not full-time students. We're not doing this as our job. We're trying to fit this into life with family and other CAP responsibilities. You may have school, you may have a job, you may have elderly parents you need to take care of. So a lack of time is a real problem for a number of our volunteer university students. You're not alone. And that's, why we make it self-paced. We understand life is going to get in the way. Okay, we have a number of online students that may have difficulty with reading and writing. Not everybody has a college degree. We have a lot of different educational levels. We have some with challenges in learning, and so we also have people who are just not strong readers or writers. They can read, they can write, they can function. It's not a problem, but they're not strong at it. Maybe they would much rather, listen to something than to read. And so we do have people who have difficulty in these areas. Many of our online students have trouble understanding that they need to cite their sources. Okay, that gets into plagiarism and academic integrity. And so you need to learn that it's okay to research, just make sure that you give credit where credit is due. That's a common problem that we see, is that we're not people are not crediting the research that they've done and the authors of who they have talked with their ideas. Okay, another problem is a commitment to regular study. If you're not in the student mode, you're not a full-time student, you're not used to always working on schoolwork, then you need to make that commitment, and that can be a problem. That is really hard to just get into that routine of a regular study habits. And then another common problem we have, and this I think is the one that frustrates me the most, is we have a check the box attitude for many of our students. We just want to get it done. Okay, we have said that we want to make major by this date, and nothing is going to stop me except that I have to get through these 20 modules. So I'm going to rush through them as quickly as possible. I'm not going to get anything out of them, but I'm going to just check the box that I did it. And you know what? Typically those with that kind of attitude, you can tell by the quality of their work. Yeah, it's passable, but they obviously didn't, they didn't work with excellence. They didn't strive to do their best. And so check the box attitude is a problem in my mind, because if you're going to take the time to do the work, then take the time to learn and make sure that you can apply this to your life. Now, I see the opposite. I see many members who are taking that time and getting everything they can from their studies, and that is just really rewarding as an instructor. How do we overcome these problems? First, strive for excellence. Excellence is one of our core values. Whatever we do, we should be striving for excellence. If it's not worth doing your best, then why do it? So whatever you do, try to do your best job. Strive for that core value of excellence. But also in that, you're going to have to realize that excellence doesn't equate perfection. You have shortcomings. Perhaps you're not a strong reader. Recognize that and maybe find some ways to adapt. Maybe you're not the greatest person at using PowerPoint. Okay, that's a shortcoming. Recognize it and adapt to it. With each of your shortcomings, learn to adapt and overcome, whether that means getting somebody to help you to learn a new skill to be able to complete your module, or if you just recognize that you're striving, you're doing your best. It may not be perfect, but you are doing your best. Communicate with your instructor. If you're having a problem, your instructor is not going to know about it if you don't tell them. Because remember, you're in different spaces. Your instructor is not seeing you every week in a classroom. So if you aren't understanding something, then you need to have your instructor help you. But they can only help you if you tell them. So reach out to your instructor by all means. That's what they're there for. And they want to help. So don't feel bad for asking them to help you. With some things, you may need to seek help from family or friends. I've had some students that struggle with that technology. Maybe they don't understand how PowerPoint works. So they reach out to their children or to a friend and say, hey, help me with this. Help me figure this out. This is my challenge. This is the assignment. I don't want you to do the assignment, but show me how this software works so that I can do this. Seek help from family or friends. Some of your modules will be specifically in an area that you're not working in CAP. So if you're a cadet programs person and you don't know anything about radios, then seek out a friend in your squadron. Seek out your comms officer that can maybe explain some of the concepts that you're not understanding all the way. They'll normally be more than willing to help you out. Okay, talk to them and just, tell them, show them the module, tell them, what you're looking at and say, can you explain this more to me? I want to learn more. And they'll help you out. Okay, so seek help from family and friends. And when all else fails, you really have to start thinking, is online study right for you? And I'm going to be the first one to say it. Online modules are not for everyone. Okay, maybe you need to rethink your goals, and maybe you need to start looking at an on-site or a virtual in residence option. If online is frustrating you and you cannot get it, then you need to rethink your goals. Okay, online study is not for everyone. I'm hoping it's right for you because I know that it helps a lot of people, but I also know that it's not going to help everybody. Have that honest conversation with yourself and see what you need to do. So let's talk about some best practices. What can you do as an online student to make the most of your online studies with Volunteer University? Okay, first of all, set some goals. In our cadet programs, in the Learn to Lead books, it talks about the future picture. When you're setting goals, think of your future picture. Where do you envision yourself in the future? So if you're a captain and you envision yourself down in the future, you're going to be a wing commander. That's your future picture. Now work back. Okay, as a wing commander, what do I need to do? Okay, well, I need to have levels, 3, 4, and 5. And then I need to have, a master specialty track, and I need to have a technician rating in the 3 missions, and I should have experience as a commander. Okay, evaluate that future picture and those requirements with what you are now and what you need to do. So work backwards, set some goals. If your immediate goal right now is to complete level 3, then let's talk about that, okay? How much time do you have before you can honestly be promoted and achieve level 3? Are you waiting for time for a specialty track? So you have some time. You don't need to rush through your modules in 6 weeks, because you may then be sitting for 8 more months while you get time in your specialty track. So future picture, know where you want to go, work back, see what you need to do. Okay, and then think about how much time do you reasonably need to complete the modules. Again, going back to that check the box mentality, how much time do you reasonably need to complete the modules, and I would add, and to complete them with excellence, to do a good job, to learn the material. And then make a SMART goal. We should all know about SMART goals at this point, the specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-sensitive goals. I will complete 2 modules each month. That's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's realistic, and it's time-sensitive. I will complete all level 3 modules by a specific date. I will complete all level 3 requirements, meaning modules, staffing, presentations, specialty track, before the next wing conference. So maybe you want to be recognized at the next wing conference with your education and training certificate that you've achieved that. Then set those goals, put them out there, write them down. Let people know this is what you're working towards, that you want to achieve them, specific goal by a specific date. Now, I went out and I asked some students who were very successful students, some of their tips and tricks and how they got through as a Volunteer University online student. So for time management, Captain Podgorski, who she was a level 5 student in my cohort, she said, create a spreadsheet of your progress. She listed each module separately, the date she completed the work, who and where she responded to in her discussions, the date she submitted her final project. That way, if she was working and mid-module, she had to stop and go do something. When she came back, she knew what she already had done. She knew where to pick this up. I know when I was back doing college work and my master's, all my discussion posts, I kept a Word document for every class so that I could keep track of everything. And I would recommend that you keep track, not only for time management purposes, but just if Access were to throw you out, you've got it right there. You're not going to lose your material. And if for some reason something disappears, you have a record of your work and you can go back and go, no, I did this, 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 and this. For time management, keep a spreadsheet of your progress. Level 3 has a really neat checklist that they offer to their students. And I think this is something that we really need to expand to other levels, so that it's exactly what Captain Podgorski was saying. It's just you're putting the date and the information for each module that you need. Captain Podgorski also recommends that you put your study times down on your calendar, or you're going to forget. You're going to put it off. If you don't make time, and that's the case with just about anything, if you don't make time on your calendar, then you're not going to do it. And she says, she found that months went by because life happened. And she just didn't remember that it had been a while between modules. You don't realize how much time has passed since the last time you got in there and worked your module. So put it on the calendar. It's a great time management tip. Make a plan and then work your plan and plan your time on your calendar. Get it on there. Block that time out. Don't make anything, set it aside as an appointment. Don't let anything get in the way. In some of our levels, we have student guides. And this is a student guide that I use with level 4 that was designed by another online instructor. And it allows you to put the date that you completed certain modules, and that way you can see what you have left. I'm a very goal-oriented person, so for me, this makes sense. And I also have dates for when the modules will be, should be worked. And it's a suggested sequence and a suggested schedule. I like to see, as I'm going through, the more that I knock off and I know, oh, I only have 3 more to go. This is an option that you can do for time management. Captain Jerome Weiss, he was a level 4 student that I had. He said that, for time management, Volunteer University is truly self-paced, okay? If you're not going to be able to do it in the time that we've committed for that cohort, then transition to another cohort if you need more time. Don't rush through or don't give up just because you're not going to make that arbitrary deadline that this cohort's going to be for 6 months. You can transition and get into another cohort to finish up. It's okay. 3 things that most modules need. There's a self-study and a quiz, and then the discussion forums, and then a written assignment. And you have flexibility of time to work each of those. Again, it's self-paced, but you have to make the time. And so if we will work with you, if you feel you're running out of time, we can put you in a new cohort and extend that time. It's not a problem. Okay, Captain Podgorski said, don't fret if you're behind. Okay, it's okay. Remember, it's asynchronous, it's self-paced. We give a suggested schedule, but you can work it at the pace that you need. So if you get behind, that's okay. But out of respect for your instructor's time, don't sit around and do nothing. The instructors want to help. And it's discouraging when they log in and find that only one person out of their 24 students has done anything in the last few days. Okay, it makes them feel like, why am I here? And maybe they're not going to be as motivated to check in and see how you all are doing if you all aren't doing anything. Don't waste their time. If you are behind, it's okay. Just let them know. Let them know the reasons and then your goal for getting back on track. Talking a little bit about that digital literacy, okay, you may need to learn to use Word or PowerPoint or Excel or, using the Google Suite. If you don't have access to the Microsoft versions, find somebody to help you. If you can't find somebody, there's lots of online short videos that you can take to learn how to these. Microsoft itself has a whole page full of links that will help you learn pretty much any of the basics for these items. Learn to use the basic tools to be able to get the job done for your classes. And then I would ask that as you're digital, and you're online, that you start to discern quality content and sources. Just because it's online doesn't mean it's true. And we expect that of our children. We don't want them to read things that they shouldn't, before they can understand it. So you need to discern, is this really true? What sources did they use to create this article? Who published this article? Who was the author of it? Learn to find out what is from experts and what's just somebody trying to get you to click on their stuff. Discern that quality, and when you do use a source on any of your assignments or in your discussions, if you refer to something, not only verify that source, but then cite your source. In other words, you want to let your instructor or your fellow students know where you got this information. They should be able to go back and find your source and confirm to verify that is what the source is. And sometimes they'll go, oh, that sounds pretty interesting. I'd like to go read that article for myself. Cite your sources. Technical issues. Okay. Access. Let's just put it out there. Access is cumbersome and it can be difficult to navigate, but you will get there. Once you understand how to navigate it, it's not that hard. It's just, yes, it is clunky. And if you are used to working with learning management systems, it's not as smooth as some of those out there. but it is what we have, and you can make it work for you. Hundreds of CAP online students have already done that, so we can make it work. Access is just a tool that is used alongside e-services. So you have to realize that when your dashboard on Access is showing that maybe you haven't finished, but you have, there may have been just some changes to the module or whatever. The place you want to go to make sure that you have received credit for your module, if you believe you have, is go back to e-services, back where you signed up for your cohort. There's a thing called accomplishments. Put your name in there and look at your level, and it will tell you which modules have been completed, because Access talks to e-services and tells e-services what you have finished. E-services does not talk to Access. Okay, it's only one-sided. So if you finish something in Access and you've gotten your passing grade, it should talk to e-services. If you find that it hasn't, then talk to your instructor about it. There may be something that you've missed. Maybe you haven't quite clicked out of something correctly, and oftentimes that's what the problem is. When you view something in Access, and this is a common problem, and it just requires a little bit of a change in your mindset. So say you're watching a presentation. Most of us will immediately go to that white X in the red box up in the top right corner, because that's how we're used to clicking out of things, is with the little X. But no, if you do that, you will get a prompt that says you might not get credit for this. And you want to get credit for it, otherwise Access is going to show that you did not review the presentation. So where I've circled down below, that close button, that's where you want to click. Ignore that white X, so it does not exist. Always use the close button. Other technical issues, when in doubt, read the instructions. Okay, I have discovered through the years, especially more recently, that people just aren't reading. It's a lot easier just to ask a question and expect somebody to do the research for me and tell me what I want to know. But you know what? There's a lot of instructions out there. There are instructions all over the national website. There's instructions in e-services. There's instructions in Access. There's instructions in your module. There's a Facebook group. There's your cohort, your instructors that may have provided you with a student guide. There's a lot out there. Do yourself a service. Read the instructions first. Okay, don't get frustrated. If you haven't read how to do something, then don't get frustrated that you can't do it. Okay, go find the instructions and then follow them. If then you still can't do it, then okay, then it's time to ask. So if you're having trouble, seek help. We're out there. Here's another tip. Save your discussion posts in Word before you post it to Access, in case your post gets lost or if e-services kicks you out. So what I typically do is I would write the prompt or the scenario in, I would copy and paste it into my document, and then I would start responding. If I'm responding to a particular person, then I would copy that post and who it was, and then my response. And then I can go into Access and I can just create posts using this information. Why do I want to do that? Seems like double the work. Well, one, I have a record now of all of my posts. So some people like to keep track of, of what they've done in a module, and those discussion posts are learning items. You have learned stuff through them, so you might want to keep track of that. Okay, the other thing is, e-services have times out. Then if you are in the middle of typing something into Access and all of a sudden it throws you out, you've just lost everything. But if you've got it in Word, you can just copy and paste, end of story. You haven't lost any of your work. When in doubt, also reach out to your instructor. If you're having trouble, ask them. They're there to help you. Honestly, that's what they're there for. When all else fails with technical issues, complete a help desk ticket. Help desk ticket is not your first item that you do. Okay, the first thing you do is go back and read the instructions and try and work through it. Ask your instructor. Chances are they've heard the same question before. Okay, when all else, and then we say, you know what, this is brand new, it's not something we can fix, then do the help desk ticket. They're there to help you, but we should be helping ourselves with the easy stuff. There is a chain that we follow if you're having issues. As a student, the first person you go to is your instructor. You do not jump all the way up to the Chief of Education and Training. It's not how it's done. You know, with chain of command, you want to try and resolve things at the lowest level possible. Well, we're doing the same thing here. Chances are your instructor is going to be able to help you. If you have several instructors, you go to your immediate instructor for that module. If that instructor is having trouble, they'll go to the lead instructor. The lead instructor will go to the level chair. Okay, and each of these steps along the way, somebody should be able to help you. Okay, if the level chair can't solve it, they're going to come to me. And chances are I've seen it, and then I can resolve it, or I can work with National to get it done. If it's something that's really out there, then I may go to the provost, and then we may go to the Chief of Education and Training. But remember to follow this chain. One, your instructor is going to be able to be of service to you, and you're going to get a quick answer and be able to move on your way. So Captain Podgorski said, don't be afraid to go to the instructors. They're there to help you. And if they don't reply, you can go above them, hence that chain. Sometimes your instructor might be on vacation, might have missed your email, okay? Well, if they don't respond to you within a couple days, then okay, go to the next person in the chain. It's okay to do that. Just don't jump to the very beginning of the chain. Captain Podgorski, her initial cohort was dissolved because of a lack of instructor participation. She was in one of the very early cohorts and we had some issues. She says, you will not be forgotten, but you have to let people know above that there are issues. Okay, you just can't sit back and complain. You can't go on Facebook and gripe that your stuff is not getting graded if you have not taken the step to get the resolution. So let the people know that you're having problems. Let's talk a little bit about motivation. Everybody is motivated differently. Some people, they want the promotion, they want the ribbon, they want the specialty track badge. And that's fine. You know, that's one of the reasons that we're here. The higher we go, the more opportunities are available to us. So yes, that is a motivation, but is that your only motivation? I would also recommend that you look, what's your personal development? What can you apply to your life? A lot of these modules are leadership based and they're going to teach you more about yourself. And so how can I personally use these to grow as an individual? Also professionally, you know, a lot of this information you can apply to your day job, to professionally. Maybe you're interested in transitioning to a new career. This can give you that leg up. Am I really interested in this stuff? So you can have some professional development. Is that your motivation? Just simply broadening your perspective. Say, you know, you're happy with where you are professionally, but you just want to learn more. Well, there's your motivation to do a good job, to strive for excellence in these modules. Take that topic and then go do some additional research, but broaden your perspective. Okay, that could be your motivation for doing this. You just want to get a larger sense of what Civil Air Patrol does. I would caution, don't just check the box. Okay, when you broaden your perspective, here's one way you can do it. When you're asked to do a presentation or a PowerPoint, okay, create a real world product that you can use at your local unit or wing. I'll give you an example. If you are doing the recruiting and retention module, and you might be asked to create a presentation that you can take to your local civic club and present Civil Air Patrol to them. Well, don't do a hypothetical squadron in a hypothetical city. Make it specific to your squadron and your city. And then guess what? You now have a ready-made real-world product that you can then use, saving you time down the road when you are able to do a presentation. You can tweak it, but you've already done a lot of the work. So real-world products that you can use at your local unit. Okay, do an internet search on the topic. If your topic happens to be building effective teams, okay, in one of our levels, effective teams, we talk about how Google created their teams, you know, and designed their teams. Well, okay, you can read what we have, but then go do a little bit more research if it interests you. Expand your horizons. Learn more about the topic. It's not just, again, checking the box. It's about learning and improving yourself personally and professionally. And then think about, how can I apply this topic to my non-CAP world? Is there something I can do to apply this topic? Some of them, yes, they're very specific to Civil Air Patrol, but there's a number of things that if you just change the content out, the concepts are the same. Okay, remove CAP specific and transfer it to whether it's your day job, your school. A lot of these topics can be applied to non-CAP. So you're getting that added benefit. Not only are you personally and professionally improving in CAP, but also yourself, your individual, and perhaps in non-CAP world. Always desire to learn something useful. Sophocles said this, and that's what I strive to do, is no matter what I want to be able to learn, I try to excel, and I want to learn something I can use. Okay, I really don't like to waste my time with what I call fluff. I want something useful and practical. And so always strive to learn something useful. Lack of interaction, okay, that is a problem. A lot of us need that interaction with other people, and that's why we prefer the classroom, and I get it. Online does not provide that. So one of the things that Captain Podgorski recommended, she says, is interact with your other cohort members. Okay, in this format, it's difficult to make those lasting connections, so you're going to have to be intentional about it. Ask questions. Just going through the motions won't help you learn anything. Ask questions when you need further clarification. Okay, we give people teams. Your cohort should have a Teams, and you can use that for interacting. Captain Weiss says, commenting on 2 to 3 cohort members' write-ups gave me a chance to see how someone else interpreted what the assignment requested. Not everybody sees things the same way. And that's why the discussion forums are important, is that you're going to see somebody else's viewpoint. It may be different from yours, maybe something you never even thought of. Captain Weiss says, I found reading the different responses educational. You're not interacting in a face-to-face, but you are interacting with other people. So it just takes a different mindset of how you are interacting. But we do have Teams available, as I said. If your cohort does not have a Teams group channel set up, talk to your instructor every chair for a level Teams, and they can set that channel up for you to begin to interact with your cohort members. You can also have optional virtual meetings. Now, I say optional because Volunteer University online modules are designed to be asynchronous. Different times, different places. We do not require anybody to meet at a specific time because, again, our members are all over the world, different responsibilities, and we just are not going to force them into a specific time for a meeting. However, if you want to have an optional virtual meeting, talk to your instructor. There may be others in your cohort that would like to just get together and talk about this particular module. You could set up this to be a routine thing that it's always optional. If your instructor is not interested in doing that, there's no reason why you can't set one up. Just say, hey, I'm doing this informal, Zoom session. Anybody, interested in joining me? I'll be on Zoom at this point. Bring your cup of coffee and we'll just have a discussion. When I design online courses, I often will include what I call, an online cafe, a virtual cafe. And it's where our students can get together in a discussion forum and they can talk about anything. It doesn't have to be related to the module or the coursework. And a lot of times I'll just throw something in like, hey, Super Bowl's coming up. Who do you think's going to win? And that usually gets a few people going. It is something that is done, but it's not something that we require in an online side. But if you seek that interaction, there are options for you. Let's talk a little bit about academic integrity. Integrity first. That is our core value. All the other core values, in my opinion, are hung off of integrity. Okay? We have sadly had to create an academic integrity policy. We hope that all of our members and students will follow and live by the core values, but we realized that it wasn't happening. It's a small minority, but we had to have it. Let's talk a little bit about academic integrity, and we're talking plagiarism. It's okay to quote other people's work. You can do that, But it's not okay to forget to give them credit. Okay, if you're going to quote somebody or use their ideas, their intellectual property, then you give them credit. If you don't, it's called plagiarism, and that's equivalent to stealing. You stole their work, you stole their intellectual property, you said it was yours. Don't do it. That's all I ask. If you want to look at the academic integrity policy, it is on our website, but just don't do it. Okay, it's not worth it. Always cite your sources. So with academic integrity and citing your sources, you don't have to do an APA or an MLA style, bibliography. You do need to have enough information that your instructor or anybody else reading your document can find the source you used in your assignment. So oftentimes that means the author's name, the title of the publication. You might need the date. You may need a URL if you got the website, page number if it's a book. Sometimes if it's really bizarre or far out there, you might need a publication date, or you might need a publisher, but just anything that will help you find the source for your quote or for where you got that information. Our academic integrity policy is on the Volunteer University website. I highly recommend that you download it and look it through. Unfortunately, we had to have this. It does explain what we're looking for, what our standards are, and it also gets into the punitive side that if we do have members who fall very short of our integrity policy, what could happen to them. Oftentimes, it's just a matter of education, letting the student know, hey, I really need you to do this. And they come back and go, oh my goodness, yes, I'm sorry, I forgot, I didn't realize. But then every now and then, unfortunately, there are some that it's very clear that it was intentional. Look up the academic integrity policy and abide by it. Some words of encouragement. You can do this. It may be different. Maybe you've never done online studies before. You can do it. It just takes some work. It's a little bit harder. It does take work, but you can. Strive for excellence. I've said that several times. Whatever you do, do your best. We're not asking for perfection. We're asking for excellence. Do your best. Ask for help if you need it. We're here to help. Your instructors are here to help. Set aside specific times to study. Remember, get that on your calendar. Mark it. Treat it like an appointment, and you're not going to put anything else in the way. Don't just check the box. Okay, get everything you can out of something. Don't just rush through and check the box. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of your instructor's time. Do your best, and then you'll get more out of it. You'll enjoy your studies more. Remember, this isn't a sprint. Okay, it can feel like a marathon, but don't rush through. Get what you can. Take the time to get what you need. Let's review. Did we meet our objectives? Attendees will understand common problems with online learning. I think we met that one. Attendees will identify ways to overcome common problems with online learning. We talked about digital literacy and technical issues. Yeah, I think we met that one. Attendees will apply best practices to their personal online learning program. Hopefully, some of these best practices that I have given you and have shared from other students will help you in your own studies, and you will get more out of your Volunteer University online modules. If you have any questions, I recommend that you go to the Volunteer University website first and foremost, and if you still don't have your answers, talk to your instructor, follow that chain. We're here to help you. I want to thank you all for being an online student in Volunteer University. It's a pleasure to serve you, and we're here to help. Have a good day.